Okay, so let me see. Let's see. Just gotta check something. Make sure the audio is good. Alright, so now this is the Beauty and the Beast kitty. I almost was gonna throw this piece away. Mm, but I decided not to because I'm pressed for time. I have to create some of these paintings. What I realized is using acrylic sometimes is not a good thing because if you look at this part right here, see this white part? You put layers and layers of like matte medium or any kind of medium to glaze things. What I realized is they peel off. It's like plastic. I mean, it was just, I don't know, it's like a scab. You just keep peeling things off and then the underpainting comes out. This is not a good thing. So, yeah, and also what I did was before I chucked this painting away, before I don't know what I was thinking. All the paintings, all the stripes of the cat was just like a ringworm, just circles, just perfect circles. But when I looked at a reference, I realized it's not like that. It has a center line, and it's got these and it curves around, and it's just like a tiger stripe. So I corrected that. There's some definite corrections going on here, but yeah, I really gotta finish this painting no matter what. So my plan of attack is for now, don't do what is the word I was trying to use? Don't do oil. I mean, don't do acrylics. I with this crappy paper, I've done watercolor. It didn't work. Um, Gouache, it didn't really work. Acrylics seemed to be working, and then it didn't work again. So my last resort is gonna be oil, and somehow I have to finish everything in a day or two. So let's see. But first thing is definitely gonna glaze again with oil and see what the heck. Luckily, this is a water soluble oil. I'm not a fan of them, but I got seduced by this lady who was talking about how great they are, and I bought them. And actually, they're not as great as it sounds, but hey. So I'm going to use a burnt umber. And then another interesting thing is this is a water soluble oil from 2 days ago that I squeezed onto the palette. And I want to see if they're actually still wet. It still kind of is, but it kind of dried a bit. So, interesting. It's almost acting like another acrylic. Just peel things off. Look at this. Oh, I'm not sure if it's a good thing. Look at this. It's just getting peeled off like acrylic. Hmm. Is this good? Is it bad? I'm not sure. Well, Well, let's get to it. Burn over, squeeze it out. And another thing was the lady was telling me how for water soluble, what's this brand? I forgot the brand. I think it's called Holbein. Yes, Holbein is the best. It's actually not. This is the best. This Cobra. Holbein is very sticky and very thick and doesn't spread well. It's cakey too. But this Cobra is smooth. Works just wonderful, just like how I thought a water soluble should be. So definitely next time, I'm definitely gonna buy Cobra brand. And the price is comparable to the Holbein, and I think Cobra might be slightly cheaper. I think. Yes, but definitely Cobra is a very, 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 very smooth. I love it. Okay, so I'm watered it down, the oil, and now let's glaze the painting. Ooh, not enough paint. Wow, it's just getting sucked in. Okay, let me squeeze definitely more. Oh, another thing about water soluble oil. The whole reason why I bought a water soluble oil was because I didn't want to deal with any mediums, which is turpentine. That's the only reason why I got it, because it's too toxic. And I did it for health reasons, really. But you know what? The ironic thing is, if you want to wash your brush, the only way to wash it is actually turpentine. Soap, water, nothing works. I even tried, what is the word? I even tried, I don't know, like all kinds of shampoo, expensive soaps. Nope, it doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. But anyway, look at this. This is a Cobra. I just added a little bit of water and look how smooth it just glazes over. It's beautiful. Now, if I did the same thing with Holbein, the one I have, it ain't gonna work this well. However, now that was all the cons I was talking about. The one awesome pro about the paint using water soluble oil compared to oil is it dries faster. I've seen a lot of professional painters. What they do is they put an underlying of acrylics like what I did, and then I mean not to this detail, just a generic underlying, and then they go over with oil like what I'm doing, and then they start glazing like what I'm doing. And actually, this is my first time ever doing that, and It's pretty cool actually. I can see why they do it, and maybe this I'm glad in the long run. Maybe I'm because it was a good thing I didn't throw this away and just gave up because maybe I'm stumbling into something. Maybe I will like this technique. However, this is the turpentine I use to you call wash the oil off the paint brush. Nothing like turpentine. This is actually an odorless turpentine. I just got it cheap from Home Depot. It's like they call it painters, but just because it's odorless doesn't mean that it's non-toxic. You still fumes are still coming out. This is just as equally toxic. So make sure I have to make sure that I don't get it on my hands. Usually I wear gloves when I paint. Well, but I don't know. I just completely forgot because it's been a while. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous, but it does the job. It washes beautifully well. I mean, it cleans all that oil off, just strips it off. But what I do is I make sure that I close the lid. I don't even know if that's doing anything, but because I'm still using the same damn brush. But there we go. Let's wait for this water to dry. I'm gonna take this ultramarine light. Now this is a Holbein. Look at how these gets gunky. Even from the lid, you can tell it's gunky. Everything is just all caked up, gunked up. It's almost, it really reminds me of acrylics for some reason. The way it dries, it gets cakey like this. Where Cobra, when you put it on, I mean, or even take the lid off, it doesn't have this. It's very. But you know what? I'm not gonna waste it. If this is given to me, by God, I will use this up. Another thing with oil is everything is a patient game. Make sure that everything is dry before you put over it, if you do the glazing technique. But luckily, water dries fast. Just waiting for just a little bit more. I want to knock this, it's too bright, it's too warm, want to knock it down. So around from here to down here, just knock it down, definitely. Because what I want to do is it's like a nice golden light coming through, but these are almost a bit, it's being silhouetted. Not quite. Definitely this part, the body here. Definitely want that silhouetted. The trick is I have to make sure that the blue is not so strong. So I might have to dilute the heck out of it with some water. See what happens. I think while I wait for this, I'm gonna I was gonna change my brush and then do something else, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Okay, this part is dry. This part's not really dry. Maybe I should do that. Heck, why not? Let's just do it. This is a special liquid, linseed oil that I created. It's a water-soluble linseed oil by Holbein, and I let it sit outside. This medium particularly is not harmful. It almost has a very sweet smell. That's fascinating. And this color has become darker and darker. Almost a year passed in the sun. It's getting thickened by it. It takes a long time to create this, but I'm actually surprised that the smell is so sweet. It didn't have this smell before. It almost smells like cucumber perfume or something. It's very fascinating, but it's pretty good. The reason why I like linseed oil is when it dries, it's like putting a lotion over a skin. It's very it creates a nice rich gloss to it, and I like that. However, because it's oil, this ain't no water, so it's gonna take a long time to dry, almost a day. However, if the temperature in the house is warm, in the high 80s, it's gonna dry much faster. Also, I'm hoping because it's thickened by the sun. I mean, when I say thickened, it's not as viscous as a tube of paint you squeeze out of a, tube, but it's just slightly thicker than our running water. And what it does is it dries a little faster, which is I don't know why it does that, but it's a very interesting process. Okay, so now that I'm done with that, make sure that I don't screw it up. I'm gonna use this as a tester paper. See if this brush it still has the paint. I'm gonna use turpentine again. Another trick some instructors say is they never clean their brush, they say. And what they do is they have like 13 different brushes and then designate each brush for a specific color, so you never have to wash it. If it's white, if you only need white, then that brush, you only use that brush for white. So actually I tried that. I'm telling you, do not do that. I learned it the hard way. What happens is I think that's only for people who paint literally every single day. If you even take a break for, say, 1 week, what happens? Just like in oil on a canvas drying, the paint brush, any kind of residue paint on the oil, on the paintbrush, it dries. So you literally have a hardened paintbrush and you ruined it. You can't use it again. Unless you soak it in turpentine for a long time. Taking ultramarine blue and then glazing it over, I just realized even though it looks dry, because it is an oil paint, even with the water, it's still picking up some of the paint underneath. This is why I love oil. Already, nothing glazes like oil in my opinion. Already, and even though, like, say I just glazed it and there's some patch parts that I don't, because it's still drying, I can easily just go over it, patch it out. It's so good. Like here, there's a bit of a splotch here, and I can just soften the edges like that. It's just, it's so nice. Now I'm gonna mix some burnt umber with some this ultramarine and some, so it's creating a darker, cooler brown, almost like a sepia. Now I'm gonna clean up the patterns. Almost looks like a tree of life just branching out. Okay, I think the trick is because I've been trying to crack this media. Um, I think as long as I treat it like acrylic, it could potentially work. The only thing gotta watch out is if you lay the paint so thin, it leaves streaks, like very dirty streaks. That you gotta watch out. And it doesn't dry fast. So what you have to do is you gotta make sure that yeah, just gotta be patient. That's the word I was looking, patience. So it's good to have different projects, different paintings. I'm doing it again. This is a problem using no reference. think I'm finally beginning to see the light. I could be too premature, but with oil, gotta make sure. So it seems like it's about intensity and blending in carefully. I used to always think like, you gotta mix the paint, just mix it together on this. But I don't know, man. There is another way. I think like just gotta be very careful, like with the intensity. How it was very thin, and you can see the brush strokes and layers, and it looks watery. But as I go with this, as those weird brush strokes are getting glazed over and over again, and the paint layer is becoming thicker, the vibrancy and intensity is coming alive, and it doesn't look so dirty. I mean, I don't know how to say it right, but because I always had that problem with this. You see how it's like all splotchy and dirty looking, like here and all that. But look at this part. So I carefully put on layers and layers of more paint on it, on the surface. I don't know, it's beginning to look pretty intense. This is incredible. I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. I feel like I learned something. Still my least favorite painting, but it could be my most, because it's my least favorite, it could be my most, what is that word? Learned educational painting. Wow, I like this effect here. It's, who knew? Okay, now I know. Note to self. Ultramarine, burnt umber, match made in heaven. Anyway, I've got a meeting in about an hour. I haven't eaten anything all day, so in about 22 minutes, I'm going to end it. And then I'm going to eat something, and then I'm going to go to my meeting, and hopefully I'll have more time to continue this. Actually, it's not a hope, I have to, because all of these paintings have to be finished by this Friday. Technically, this Thursday. Friday is framing day. I'm very slow at what I do compared to my peers, and that's always been a struggle of mine. But with oil, it's like you always have the perfect excuse why you're so damn slow. However, if you want to make it in the industry, it's not gonna really quite help unless I have heard that there is a certain medium that hasten the drying process of oil. However, that only works, I know, for regular oil, not water soluble, and I'm stuck with this water soluble. I spent, man, now I look back, I'm ashamed to say it, but I spent about over $300 on this oil. They're expensive, the whole bind. I would say close to $400 in just a handful of these oil paints. And until I'm done with it, I will not. I'm gonna use it up and then at least get some kind of money back, so to speak, using it. And I'm gonna turn it to my advantage. That's the only choice I have. Well, it's more like that's what I choose to do. Before I had this bad habit where I would follow the new trend of new medium and then instantly buy it and then not use it. It's like it gets shoved in a corner and it collects dust, and after 10 years, I end up throwing it away or giving it to somebody. And more and more, as years go by, I hopefully mature. I don't like that. I really hate that wasteful side of me. So I'm gonna do everything I can to, you know, um, to use what I have. There's a Japanese proverb that I really love. It's called mottainai. Mottainai literally means waste not. I was reading this very traditional Japanese cookbook, and everything was revolving around that concept because always resources were limited, and people, even when you peel like daikon or carrot peels, we would throw them away, the peels, right? But what they would do is they collect that on the side and make something delicious out of it. So nothing literally is going to waste. I forgot how I love burnt umber. I used to use this up a lot. It's all coming back to me. When I was studying oil, this was always my base color number one. Completely forgot, but it's funny how it's like riding a bicycle, as you work on something like hands on, then the memory starts creeping back. It could be 20 or 30 years ago, and you still would sometimes, by doing the same thing, and I don't know, it just comes back to me. I think part of the reason why is because my brain is trying to figure it out, solutions, and what it's doing is like while I'm working on this, it's furiously at the back of my mind. My brain is another part of me is just looking through all the memories and see what it can provide answers for solutions. It's like autopilot, search engine. And sometimes when it's a very hard problem, like a hard solution that I can't figure out, uh, if I sleep well, like for example, at least 8 hours, and I feel rested the next day, usually the answer comes to me. It's bizarre. I think most people are like that. It's not just me. The way our brain works, sleep is important. Like today, I really was. I didn't sleep well. It was a very bad night for me. I felt like I hardly slept a wink, and yeah, I can feel it. I felt like a zombie when I was in the morning. It was really bad. I couldn't it's just hard to get motivated to even. So I think what helped was I think maybe taking a shower and then from then on eating something, breakfast maybe, and then I don't know, Coke. Coke always helps. Caffeine. Still, it's a quick fix. And also another funny thing is when I'm working with oil, it doesn't have to be even water soluble, just any kind of oil. For some reason, even though I don't touch my mouth, I taste it. I wonder if it's the fumes, just because oil and all that just keeps, floating up. You can't see the fumes, you can't smell it sometimes. But I guess it's hitting my face, and I don't know why. I always taste it, and my mouth kind of has this weird burn. Like when you eat poison uh, by accident, you start burning. It always has that strange burning sensation, and I don't know, just stuck in the back of the. Maybe I am accidentally eating it for some. Wow, this is fantastic, man. It, just gotta be careful. This okay, the technique with this, if you're a slow person like me, I mean, I'm talking about slow not in intelligence, but just the way you move. Uh, this oil is freaking the way, man. It's like, I don't know, man. It's so meditative. You know how people say, they say they get into this weird flow, or I never felt that weird flow thing. Never. I think this could be the closest thing. And the funny thing is, I've done oil before and I never had this feeling. Maybe because I was just learning it, and when you begin to learn, you got deadlines, you got assignments, you're getting graded, and the teachers sometimes are assholes and they're freaking like Nazi and scary, then you're so stressed you can't even enjoy the moment, right? But now that I'm discovering, it's like discovering a new technique or something. I don't know. It's just this is cool. But again, I could be premature in saying this because I could be like after 1 month say this is the shittiest thing ever. Maybe I'm enjoying it because I finally understand it. I don't know. Yeah, it's so funny. Like just looking, this was an utter mess. It looked like crap. But just doing the stripes and putting layers and layers and layers of color, and then the thing is becoming looking richer and richer because of, I guess, the thickness, the amount of paint that's going on. It's beginning to look like something. It's at least beginning to look kind of clean. But who knows? It might look good now, but once it dries, it could look like a freak train. I have an artist friend who is extremely anal and very, yeah, to the point of just not healthy. But and his art reflected. And sometimes he's wondering why he's putting like thousands of hours of work, or he's doing this weird technique and he's so careful about it. He's always wondering why. Maybe it's not doing so well. He uses like, man, it's crazy. He uses airbrush, and then after airbrush, what does he do? Puts some. He does like color pencils, and make it look really realistic like photographs. And he's so fussy about all his tools and so anal, like I said. I wonder if I should recommend oil. Because if this is making you like what I'm seeing now, like very careful and just very deliberate, this could be his salvation. Yeah, I'm gonna ask him next time. Okay, I think I'm beginning to also see why I'm digging this oil technique because the way I always render is I like things very soft. I don't like defined looks, and this is a lot of them is like getting lost into whateverness, and it's just a very blending technique, and I've always loved blending. Part of the summertime, and some people hate that because they like things very clean and defined. But for me, I've always found myself doing soft rendering, and this oil is making me not making me is helping me amplify that side of me. It's like almost working with pencil, like I'm just slowly adding darker and darker tones or whatever. Or well, in this case, I can't think of it so binary like it's dark and light. It has to be also dark, warm, cool, and light and all that. But damn, this part is really cool. I love how this part is coming out. It was like a utter mess, but now it's just and things are more like I don't know how to say this, but because the ultramarine and burnt umber is match made in heaven, it's making each other vibrant. So this burnt umber looks a lot much warmer than if I had put it by itself against maybe a yellow. You know, it's fascinating how things also work in conjunction. And the careful thing is I have to make sure that this part doesn't blend too much, or otherwise it's going to get very muddy looking. It'll look even black. So I have to remind myself to make sure that the burnt umber is also not getting entirely buried. Oh damn, I'm off. I'm past my time. I get so caught up in this. Okay, all right, I'm gonna call it a day, but I'm gonna come back. I have to do some more. Thanks, guys, for listening or watching, whatever. Hope to see you guys again. It's always so fun. Okay. Alright, let's end this.